If there's one thing comic book hell and Stephen King's multiverse have in common, it's that both are full of nightmares that refuse to die. But what happens when hell's enforcer meets fear itself? The spirit of vengeance versus the eater of worlds. Ghost Rider versus Pennywise. This isn't a hero versus villain fight, it's two cosmic level monsters colliding over who owns your soul. One rise out of hell to punish the guilty. The other crawls out of the dark to feast on fear. And tonight, neither of them is walking away clean. So who wins? Let's break it down. Ghost Rider. In the endless war between heaven and hell, one man made a deal with the devil, became something far worse. Johnny Blaze was a stuntman with fire in his veins and tragedy on his heels. When his adoptive father was dying, Johnny made a desperate deal with the demon Mephisto, trading his soul in exchange for the life of the man he loved most. But hell doesn't grant miracles, it grants curses. The moment Johnny signed that deal, he became something else, a living weapon of divine punishment, bound to the ancient entity named Zarathos, the spirit of vengeance itself. By day, he's a broken man trying to live with his guilt. By night, he's the Ghost Rider, a skeletal wraith reefed in eternal flame, tearing through sinners and monsters alike with the roar of a burning engine. When Johnny transforms, his mortal limits burn away, replaced by the full wrath of Zarathos, a demon so powerful that even hell trembles in his wake. Hellfire is his signature, a supernatural flame that doesn't just scorch flesh, but burns the soul, searing the guilt, sin, and evil within a being's essence. This same fire has melted through mystical shields, cosmic armor, and even the reality-warping constructs of gods and demons. He wields enchanted chains that stretch and twist beyond physical law, strong enough to bind the likes of the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange. He rides the Hell Cycle, a flaming chariot that can race across water, walls, and even the air, outrunning Thor's hammer Mjolnir, which travels across infinite and immeasurable distances. Wherever it roars, damnation follows. And then there's the Penance Stare, Ghost Rider's most infamous weapon. One look into those burning sockets, and his victims are forced to feel every ounce of pain they've ever caused another soul. Every murder, every lie, every act of cruelty reflected back on them in a single soul-searing instant. It's worked on gods, demons, and cosmic entities alike. Doctor Strange, Daredevil, even angels from hell itself. Their minds burn, their souls fracture. Some die begging for forgiveness they'll never receive. The stare is not limited by regret. Even the unrepentant feel it, because in the eyes of vengeance, no one is innocent. But the spirit of vengeance is a curse as much as it is a weapon. Zarathos is older than Mephisto himself, an ancient rebellious demon who once devoured souls across the multiverse until he was bound by heaven's hand. When unleashed, he becomes a storm of divine fury, capable of matching Mephisto, Odin, and even gods who can threaten the world tree Yggdrasil, which holds infinite universes across every plane of reality. At his most unbound, Ghost Rider stands among the Skyfathers and Hell Lords, his flames spanning pan-dimensional realms that transcend space, time, and thought. And when he took the mantle of the King of Hell, he didn't just rule, he remade Hell itself, commanding legions of demons and even resurrecting fallen Celestials. Zarathos' roar can shake dimensions. His will alone bends entire realms of punishment to his cause. Ghost Rider's power isn't limited to brute force either. He can absorb souls, command fire to form weapons, reshape matter, traverse dimensions, and tear holes through reality itself. His chains can bind spirits. His flames can incinerate concepts. But when vengeance demands it, even the gates of heaven cannot bar his way. He's battled titans like World War Hulk, clashed with the Sorcerer Supreme, and overpowered Mephisto, whose clashes with Galactus have shattered realms across the multiverse. Doctor Strange himself admitted that if Zarathos were ever fully unleashed, everyone he knows would be in danger. Even the Hell Lords, pan-dimensional gods of the underworld, fear him. In their eyes, Zarathos is not a servant of Hell, he's Hell's reckoning. Killing Ghost Rider is nearly impossible. He can regenerate from total annihilation, rebuild from a drop of blood, or return from Hell's deepest pit through sheer will. Holy weapons can wound him, but only divine authority, the will of God itself, can destroy a spirit of vengeance permanently. Even existence erasure from beings who can unmake reality. It's failed to keep the writer down. As Johnny once said, you can't kill vengeance. You can only pray it doesn't come for you. What makes Ghost Rider truly dangerous, though, isn't his power. It's the man behind it. Johnny Blaze is the fragile barrier between humanity and Zarathos' wrath. Every day, he fights to keep the demon in check. Every night, he rides to make the world a little less damned. He's not a hero, he's not a villain. He's the last thing you see before the flames take you. Where there's sin, there's vengeance. Where there's vengeance, there's him, the Ghost Rider. Pennywise, the dancing clown, the thing in the deadlights. For the people of Derry, Maine, he's just a nightmare that comes around every generation. But for everyone who really knows what he is, Pennywise isn't a clown at all. He's it, an ancient cosmic predator from outside time and space, a creature that slipped into our universe from the Macroverse, a realm so far beyond human comprehension that looking at its true form can literally shatter your mind. The clown face? That's just a mask. The real Pennywise is the deadlights, 3 blinding spheres of godlike energy that exist beyond the material world. Anyone who looks into them gets pulled out of reality and dropped into a dimension of pure madness, trapped between thought and oblivion. It's not just death, it's erasure. Every 27 years, Pennywise wakes up hungry. It warps Derry into silence, bends reality, and begins to feed. Not just on flesh, but on fear. And that's the key. Pennywise's power doesn't just come from what it is, it comes from what you believe it is. If you're terrified, it becomes unstoppable. But if you stop believing, if you stop being afraid, you can actually hurt it. That's why it loves children. Their imagination makes their fear real. And imagination works both ways. Physically, Pennywise is a shape-shifting monster that can turn into whatever you fear most. It's fast enough to appear and vanish in a blink, strong enough to tear through metal, and durable enough to survive being crushed, burned, or blown apart, only to reform seconds later. Its illusions aren't just visual, they affect every sense. It can warp an entire town's perception, erase itself from memory, or make adults walk past a screaming child without even noticing. That's how deep its manipulation runs. It edits reality itself. But the most terrifying part? Pennywise doesn't even need to touch you to win. It can dive straight into your mind, read every fear you've ever had, and reshape the world around you to weaponize it. And if you lock eyes with the deadlights, your consciousness gets dragged straight into the macroverse, where the real it lives. where it can devour your soul completely. Still, Pennywise isn't invincible. Its power is tied to the rules of belief. The same imagination that feeds it can destroy it. Confidence, courage, or sheer disbelief can make its attacks collapse. And if you can reach its physical anchor, that twisted, beating heart hidden inside its avatar, you can kill it for good. So while it calls itself the Eater of Worlds, the truth is simpler. Pennywise is a cosmic parasite that turns fear into power. It's not a monster that lives under your bed. It's the idea that your fear makes the monster real. So, who wins? Well, let's break it down. Ghost Rider, whether you're talking about Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch, or even Zarathos himself, is one of the most terrifying beings in Marvel. A man fused with a demon so powerful that gods fear to face it head on. He's tanked blows from Hulk, treaded fire with Mephisto, burned through armies of spirits, unleashed hellfire that doesn't just sear flesh, it scorches souls. Every swing of his chain, every roar of that infernal bike carries the weight of divine punishment. He doesn't fight for justice, he fights for balance. You sin, he burns. Simple as that. And on the other side, Pennywise, the dancing clown, the cosmic parasite from beyond time. He's not just a monster that hides in sewers, he's an ancient, shape-shifting entity older than the universe itself. His true form exists in the Deadlights, an extra-dimensional void that mortal minds can't even comprehend. He can warp perception, bend reality, and turn your worst fear into your executioner. But Pennywise doesn't kill because he has to, he kills because it tastes better when you're afraid. That's where the first crack in this so-called cosmic clown starts to show. Pennywise feeds on fear. It's his fuel, his power source, his religion. He infects the minds of kids, taunts them, breaks them down, until they stop believing in hope and start believing in him. But Ghost Rider, he doesn't feel fear. He doesn't care what's behind the mask or what shape you take. He's looked the devil in the eye and rode away with the devil's job. The spirit of vengeance doesn't run from monsters, he hunts them. So when Pennywise tries his usual tricks, the illusions, the psychological torture, the laughter echoing through the dark, Ghost Rider just stares him down, flames roaring higher with every step. Because if Pennywise's power comes from scaring his victims, what happens when he meets something that can't be scared? Pennywise would try every tactic in the book. He'd twist reality, take the shape of demons, maybe even try to recreate Ghost Rider's human life, showing Johnny Blaze visions of his father, of Roxanne, of every sin he's ever committed. But that's not a weakness anymore. It's fuel. Every ounce of guilt, every drop of rage, every memory of hell just makes Ghost Rider burn hotter. So the fight doesn't start with fists, it starts with fire. Hellfire floods the battlefield. Reality itself ripples as Ghost Rider's chain cracks through the air, igniting Pennywise's illusions like paper. The clown's laughter turns to shrieks as the flames lick across every shape he tries to take. Spider, serpent, storm, doesn't matter. Hellfire doesn't just burn flesh, it burns essence. It purges evil at the molecular level, and Pennywise's physical form is a joke compared to that kind of divine cleansing. He might try to retreat into the Deadlights, phasing between realities, but Ghost Rider's not limited to the physical realm. He's fought beings that exist purely as spirits, devoured souls, and traversed planes of heaven and hell alike. Pennywise's dimension-hopping tricks won't save him from the vengeance that rides between worlds. Now, sure, Pennywise has that abstract cosmic edge. His true essence, it, exists beyond mortal space and time. You can't kill that in the traditional sense. Even if Ghost Rider burns his manifested body to ash, Pennywise's consciousness still festers in the void. But here's the difference. Pennywise is a predator. He needs his victims. Without fear, without minds to manipulate, he starves. Ghost Rider doesn't need anything but sin. And sin is universal. As long as there's evil, there's fuel for the fire. That's what gives Ghost Rider the win condition here. He doesn't have to destroy it entirely. He just has to exorcise Pennywise from the mortal plane. That's exactly what he does best. The chains wrap around the clown's throat. The pendant stare ignites. And for the first time in existence, Pennywise sees every ounce of suffering he's ever caused. Not as pleasure, but as pain. Maybe he doesn't feel guilt, but he feels everything. Every scream, every death, every child who's ever trembled in his shadow, all reflected back into his infinite consciousness, echoing endlessly in the deadlights until the laughter finally stops. And when the flames die out, the street is empty. The clown's gone. The smell of burnt ozone hangs in the air. From the darkness, a single voice rumbles low. Guilty. The motorcycle engines roar. The chains glow red. And the spirit of vengeance rides off, leaving nothing behind but ash and silence. So yeah, Pennywise might be an ancient horror that feeds on fear itself, but Ghost Rider is fear itself. He's the punishment waiting for every sin that's ever crawled out of the dark. Pennywise can warp reality, twist minds, and bend nightmares. But Ghost Rider doesn't dream, he burns. Ghost Rider wins. Pennywise can haunt the void all he wants, but the next time he crawls back to Earth, the rider will be waiting, because fear fades, sin doesn't, and vengeance never dies.